What? Are we live? All right. I believe we are in the process of being live here. Let me double check. So, yeah, we are live in a few of the streaming networks. So, we're live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you want to check any of these channels, you can follow along for this development process here of the rig builder. And our friend Bob here. So let's say hi to Bob. Hello. He spins. It's amazing. It's never ending. Actually, Bob is. I think you need a different phrase for the our next stream. We're gonna work on that. But I'm glad you're happy. And but I bet your mouth must be a little dry at this point. So here we go. Today we are proceeding in the process of development of our rig builder and on the process of development of our face rig above all. So it's the fact shapes, it's the whole connection, all the connections necessary must behave as a rig, must be scalable probably, and it also we need to get into a point where this is reusable, where we can apply the system to a new mesh or a new character if necessary. Maybe even integrate with the whole MetaHumans and Real Engine and everything else thing. And let's just do it. So I think we need a face for today's stream, and this time is going to be like here. So that's good enough. And let's keep going. So if you want to speak to me or comment on the stream, feel free to leave a comment. We're going to be talking about whatever are the questions. So last time that we spoke, it was Father's Day here in Brazil, but it was not Father's Day in Vancouver, but we made it be. And I was helping out and making barbecue to my family, and also I stopped for a bit to figure out this development. And where we stopped then, if I open here my rig, we're getting the skeleton ready to be exported, and it was exported. So right away what I remember is I needed to then import that skeleton, but what was happening, so we can then get back, which is the same path that I added all of the imports into the. So just a quick recap, sorry, a quick recap of what we have on the rig builder right now. So I have increased the size of the letters. We have a fully functional execution list here. Whatever is in this list is going to be executed on the order that it is. And we're able to register, and we are able to also define a specific position to add the item on the list. So even if you're adding the item on the list, you can say after something, it's going to be after whatever it is. Even if it's inside of a child, you can do that as well. So we also added the ability to check the doc string of each of these methods. So as long as you have a doc string on the method, so I have also updated some. By the way, I'm on a family house. You're gonna probably listen to my wife, my baby talking on the back, and also the some cartoons probably. So be aware of that, and let's keep moving. So let's just reopen here, and we can see some of the doc strings. So just what's written down here. So it's telling us mirror skeleton joint list. It's the function that I've selected here, mirror joint list, and then what it is about. So select start of chain to mirror and run. So in this case, it's an instruction, and I should have something telling me that it is an instruction, because I have done this in other places. Let's see. I think it was this guy here, or maybe this one. Yeah, here we have instructions, and I think that they're both different things. One thing is the what it's actually doing, and the other thing is what it how you utilize it. And sometimes when you start to add too many of these utilities, what happens usually, even if it's utilities in your, like my code, my TP utilities, for example. I have so many things that I wrote along the time, that for many different projects, that I look at it and I say, look, I don't even know what's going on here anymore. So same thing here. You gotta have something to instruct you. First of all, a good name, good naming helps always. So just like this guy here, it's pretty big. Maybe I could do better and just have it like shorter. But then if you read it and it clicks and you're like, okay, this is what it does, then it's better than having a shorter name that you're going to be thinking about it. So this is place selection in vertex average center. So right away I know that if I select a group of vertex, I can then put something on the center of that, or in the average of that selection. So yeah, that's good. We have the instructions here. We have so place selection in vertex average center. I mean, I could still do better with this naming, but I will get there. So finds the center coordinate of vertex selection. Fine. And then how to use it. So then, okay, so select vertex or objects to average position and run load selection list. So this is load selection list. So I know that I can select a bunch of vertex, do load selection list, and then select the object that I want to place in the center, and then just run this guy. So this load selection list is then working as a global variable for the pre-build utility. So whatever is in pose and pre-build utilities can take advantage of the load selection. This guy here, the face rig, cannot access this variable here. So this is just a few of the features and how it's progressing right now. Also did like a little cleanup on the color and added a branding here. And aside from that, that's where we are. So also now what we need to progress to then is now, yeah, let's do the importing. So I have at the moment a bunch of imports here, and like import rig template, import rig geo, import model geo. All of this is being done basically kind of a hard coded, not 100% hard coded, but it is a little bit hard coded nonetheless. Let me just see where it is. Load curve selection. This is the utilities, and this is our rig. So on the import, so you have import rig template, import template geo, import model geo. All of these guys, they're importing the same thing. It's Maya file, MB file, import and return type nodes. All of them are using the same function, which is a function that I wrote that is just using namespaces to get the nodes that it is importing. So it sets everything into a namespace and then queries all the information that is inside of the namespace. Cheers, some coffee here, 7 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm drinking coffee. Guess what time I'm going to sleep today? All right, so yeah, it's running this function, and I just want to collapse this into something that we can just use in a shorter version, because I'm gonna have to use this, for example, for the import rebuild items. I don't need this. This is something that I added that's not necessary. So we have import rig template, import template geo, import model geo, but I need this skeleton. So I need the import actual skeleton. So define import rig skeleton. And that should actually be on the folder that I have already in place for the project. And the process is going to be very similar, if not the same. So what I can do right away is just like write this function, right? So let me, uh, what I can do here is have basically the same, maybe the same file here, or just write it. Yeah, I'll just write it somewhere else. You know what? Let's write it here. Baby's going through the house. So, define import file from project. This could certainly be named differently, and I need to evaluate what kind of variables we are going to use on it, but I'm just going to start typing away, and may God help us. All right, so let's see here. Let's get this guy here. Just put it fully inside of this one. And let's see how we can optimize this. So first thing is import file list. So glob glob, anything MB inside of the, let's do here like file extension. And that's going to be equals none, or I might have to be like a standard, or I might have to have a standard such as MB or anything like that. But initially, well, so instead of that might become a little confusing. So for that reason, well, let's try. Let's try, and we'll see what's going to be. And this is going to be file extension. And okay, so we have blob blob. It's checking for the file extension inside of the folder, and this is self project there. So we also need here the file directory. So we're gonna have it here. So file directory and the file extension. So yeah. Anyways, so it has the files, and then it's just going to import the files, and it's going to return file geolist. So then it's top node list. Okay, so this is something else. I need to then, this got to stay. Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why I haven't written a proper function for this, is mostly because it is already a short version of the function. So what can I do here to fasten up this thing? Okay, so I am considering here what is the easiest way. Okay, I don't want to lose too much time here. This takes too long. So it's just an import from folder, right? Yeah, top node, let's get top file geolist is being returned, and then I want the top node. Okay, so this is the whole deal here, and yeah, I get it. Okay, so what I'm thinking here right now is that this is a process that is happening on the class level, because it is using some information from the class, and I don't want to create like a return mass here, like 1,000 things that it needs to be returning, and it might just be easier to just have this as is. It's like 4 lines of code, 5 lines of code to import this guy. I wish I could streamline it even further. It's too simple. It's like it's too simple even just with this four lines. It kind of looks to me like I could streamline it a little bit more, but it's really not going to save all that many lines. I would honestly be better off by having more of these functions, but uh, yeah, what I could have is what I'm thinking now is like what I could have is a function that I would define here on the rig builder. Then say for example import rig template, import template geo, import model geo. This would like by having this on or off, all it would change is it would just add or remove from a like the directory from an import list, or like yeah, an import dictionary, and then I would have a last one here which is like import all of this, and whatever is not ticket is not going to be imported on that particular or on the last stage. That might be that might be the way to go, to be honest. But do I want to go that far? I don't know. Maybe I don't want to do it this way right now. Yeah, I don't mind. Right now, we're gonna do it on the hard coded way for now. For now. Should I be though? What would be the name of the function? Like define, import build, or import defined items. So what I'm doing right now is I am trying to define the best way to import all of the items that we have available on the folder, such as template geometry, template or the actual rig geometry, the model geo, and then there's also uh, the blend shapes, etc. Now I'm figuring out the rig skeleton. So we have all of those folders inside of the project, and then as we progress into the rig build, we are querying everything that is available for importing and just bringing it back into the scene. And that's how, and from that we're going to be able to query information either. So if we have, for example, the rig skeleton, once it is saved, once it is oriented, we can then save it back into the project folder on like the assets skeleton, and then when it's building the scene, it's just going to bring that and use. So then we're going to have information stored about like joint names, etc., and we're going to be able to use that skeleton to build our to rebuild the rig. So the thing is, can I do a better job of importing it from, or having a single function that does all of the importing, or do we want to have the flexibility of having a different one? And that's something for another stream, I guess, because I'm just going to go with the the very straightforward thing. So I'm going to check what is the name of the skeleton here. Group hierarchy. Yeah, we have baby in the house, so that's a member here of the stream. So root geometry, model geometry, template geometry, rig template. So these are just the folders that we have available. And then how am I parenting this afterwards? Let me just check that. I think that I have it set here, set rig groups. So there's template geometry, and I want the skeleton. So I'm just gonna create like there's rig and there's rig template here. I'm just gonna add like a folder, a group. So it's going to be skeleton, and that's going to be skeleton group, skeleton underscore grp, and that should be good enough. So now once we have that, I need to make this be parented somewhere. So I'm basically creating group by group. So this is bad already. I mean, it's not that bad because I don't have many groups, so kind of doesn't matter. But I would like to have a more automated way of doing this eventually. But this will probably come on the refinement stage or something like that. Initially, what we need is to have uh, everything in place, and that's it. Skeleton and empty. That's true. And then we are parenting this skeleton inside the regroup. That's it. Let's see if we have this defined somewhere. So these are our folders, and the skeleton group should be, yeah, rig skeleton here. Rig skeleton, that's where it is. And the name for the code name for it is rig skeleton. It's fine. All right, so we have a version saved there yet already. So all I need then is to project there is going to be rig skeleton. So any MB file inside of rig skeleton. So import file list file is being imported. Top node list is that. Parent top node list into self-group into skeleton. So this should then import our skeleton into our scene. And also I will be, also this is also being parented. And now I need to register that. So import rig template geo. I want it to be like the very first thing to be imported is the yeah, self dot register build method import import skeleton, and that's going to then be parented into import rig items, and the function is going to be self dot import rig skeleton. Hold on, let me check. There's something wrong. I think I didn't add the underscore. Yeah, here we go. So I use the underscore because I just want to have a differentiation between methods that are going to be used solely by the by the class or by the rig builder, and then there are other functions such as the utilities or things that will be used directly by the user. I tend to leave without the underscore. And if you, so underscore is basically something for other people scripting to know that this is something kind of a private method, but it doesn't actually affect anything. It's just more of a decoration or a nice aesthetical thing. On the other hand, if you want to like completely make this variable disappear for other classes, you can do a real private variable with double underscore. So with double underscore, even if my class here is trying to use, so if I was to try to use some of the double underscores, you will see that they're not on the list, even though they are yeah, there's all the things that are from Python specifically, but not the particular variables that we were looking there. Like I cannot see, even though it's being inherited, I cannot see these two guys here. I can see, say for example, head model geo. I'm sure if I query it or if I try to write it down, it's going to autocomplete. So had model geo, you see, and this is coming from utilities. You can see that here. So this is basically the inheritance system. So I have done everything correctly. Everything is here. So we should have this now being imported on the import section here. So import skeleton. And I know that I did save this before, so I would just do it again just in case. So export selection. Then we have here skeleton joints export. I don't like the name though. I think I made a terrible name there. Just with the naming. So yeah, I'm gonna save this particular file here because I'm not sure what have I done the last time, and it's interesting how it's super big. Look, each of this files has 760 megabytes. So man, that's some memory eating project. Right, so we're just saving here. And how's it going? Everything all right with you? Have you been uh, able to understand what we're going through here? Yeah, I guess that's a privilege to you because I'm still trying to figure out. All right, so okay, so it is saved. So I'm now going to rerun this and see if this rig skeleton is going to be brought back in. I believe it will. Right, so we can see also that our rig builder uh, is now logging here. Let's put it this way: all the steps that of the build. So it's telling us that it's running the create missing directors, for example, and it starts and it ends, or it has another print that it does on the middle. Done, and then at the end of this method, it says end and how much time it took. So we can kind of keep some information about the start and the end of this processes here and know how long are we taking for each one of them, or which ones are actually taking us the longest to build. But anyways, we got the skeleton as we wanted. So this is our old skeleton. It is on the, it's kind of a template skeleton that I was calling it. And now the new skeleton is here. Our rig is being, or our geometry is being imported with the shader, like a basic shader, and we have our joints here for the skeleton. So I think that I have renamed them properly already, and we have like placed the the joints as precisely as possible, except for this left eye here, which I haven't really placed properly. I've just mirrored it. And now I also need to actually orient some, at least some of these joints because they're like not oriented whatsoever. But the question then is like, why? At what point do I need this to be fully? Well, this is not zeroed out, but on the rotations, it is zeroed out. This guy here, for example, it is pointing just like a standard XYZ position in Maya, but when we rotate it, you see that it doesn't have like it's going perfectly straight up, which is kind of what we expect from a clavicle, right? The clavicle wouldn't be going, say, in that direction because it's basically being pulled by the trapezius, which is pulling it in this direction. So I would guess that it would end up exactly in this position, or at least in a relatively close position. That you would never reach your ear with your clavicle, would you? I don't think so. Uh, so there's no other, and also on the neck, having the joint follow the orientation of the parent and child, I find that sometimes is not that useful because you also are going to end up getting some weird rotations. Like it's probably going to start looking down when you look to the sides. So it's kind of complex. So let's keep going with this orientation for now. The rig is already being brought in into the scene. I will probably just change the naming of the head here because I see, or I saw some weird naming here. Like yeah, I was going nuts with the naming here before. So I'll say and head and joint. Pretty simple. Here's left ear. So this is head. I'm not gonna call it head one joint, just head joint. And then left, right, ears, and then the jaw. Also, the jaw has the same property of like, so jaw pivot. We have more than one jaw here. So it's head, jaw pivot, jaw, and joint. So I'm just renaming all these joints now manually because this is what's going to become our basis for everything that's coming next. There's a weird joint here. What is this? Oh, okay. So I am now then going to rename this jaw here, this jaw pivot, and also I believe that I might duplicate this as well because we always have some sort of offset. And now we should be able to, this is all zeroed out, and this is the end joint. I'll call this jaw offset joint. And then this is going to be the jaw joint, then the jaw end joint. So again, naming could can change, probably will change. YC22. Yeah, I'm checking the names on the, oh boy. Okay, so do I want to have a CN on the center joints? I don't know. So CN stands for center. Some places uses, or CT is center. Some places use like the prefix for the center joints. I don't know if I want to use it. And there's something with like for now I'm not gonna write anything down in terms of coding to change a simple thing such as this number here. It's 7 times I'm gonna have to repeat this movement. It's not the best thing I can possibly do, but I'll do it. And I think I do think that I'm doing it wrong though. I think it would be more like neck C1 joint. I think that's the best approach here. I think this is the way because C1 stands for cervical. The cervical spine has 7 joints in total, or seven. Uh, yeah, so 7 bones, right? In the case of reality, it has 7 bones. So it's changing this. This is old naming. Then we're saving this, and we're done with the renames, I guess, until the next state at least. Oh, C5, C6, and we are almost there. And the last one, oh, we still have the T1. All right, so this is just the T1 joint. Perfect. So we have the names, the exact name. So it's neck. This way we know that if you query neck, we're gonna get this joints here. So it's no big deal to find these joints. And then from there on is it is the spine. Well, the neck is still part of the spine, but I think it's easier to just find it through the neck keyword. And also the head, it's good to go. We have 2 joints here, the offset joint and the jaw joint, which are in different orders. That's not what I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's correct. All right, so that should be good to go. We have the root joint here, good to go. The T1, the clavicle is here. We have the end joint, and then we have this guy. Translations are present there. So the next thing then is to be able to create a control on each one of these guys. Maybe also on the eye, do I want to have a pupil? I might want to have a pupil. It could be just an end joint, to be honest, but let's go with that for now. Eye and joint. I'm not even going to think too much. This is going to be it. And the same thing is going to be for this guy, which you can see it is not named correctly. Oh no, it is. So right eye center joint, that's fine. And I'm going to duplicate this, parent it back into the eye, and just call it the end joint. All right, so that done, I will just grab these 2 guys and I'll move them forward here. Boom. It's more or less correct. So do we have a visual reference of where it is? And since we're going this through this path, might as well just do use that utility that I wrote. Look at that, it's like even more dense. It's crazy. I'm sure I'm not going to be able to use this one. It's even hard to just, even figure out what could be the center of this guy. It's almost relative. I mean, so let's see if the function will work. I'm just going to grab this guy here and place in the middle. Good to go. And yeah, I will save this guy again, just this joint here in particular. Export the selection, and then we're going to export it to the skeleton folder there. And hey, what's up? All right, so this was a good weekend to relax with the family, but we also had to work a lot during the weekend. And yeah, this is Monday now, and I hope you're gonna get an amazing week for yourself. A lot of progress. Hey, Bob, doing good over there, buddy? Cool. All right, so let's keep pushing here. All right, so we have the skeleton in place. So now I can start to think more in a more abstract way and try to rig this guy, right? So it is being imported here, and it's the very same description as the other guys. I'm just gonna drop the description here, see if I need to change anything. What's going on? The memory is suffering. You can see. So insert. That's fine. So imports template, imports rig skeleton. So I'm gonna have to, type this silly little thing here. So imports rig skeleton from my file into the scene from template from rig skeleton folder and project folder. Okay, sounds good to me. So what I want now then is to have a function that will control these joints here. So basically add a simple single control into each one of these guys so that we have something to get started from. So that if I want to drive this joint here, say for example, with a just start placing some animation, that would be then possible. And that's going to be the building blocks for us to, after that, start to add in some more complex system. Basically the one that's going to, or the two, no, yeah, the mouth and the jaw and the neck are the most complicated ones out of these guys. So let's start checking out what we have here. So first of all, I'm going to check one of my old, or yeah, one of the or one of the classes that I was writing for the control, and that is, I'm searching here, name convention, node attribute manager, no, skin weights, rig manager, skin weight, TP template, no, TP control. Let me see if this is the guy. So we have the class and we have the library here with a bunch of different controls. Pretty interesting. So we have, yeah, it's kind of well documented. I don't know how long ago I've written this, but so replace shape is an interesting concept. Transfer shape is an interesting concept. Transfer shape OBJ. Man, I actually wrote a lot there here. Okay. Build curve from data. This is all being used and it's fine. So this is the actual method. or the actual class building up this shapes. So this is I have, for example, cube, and then cube on base, diamond. So all of this are just parameters or points in space that we can use to rebuild this curves. So by starting it, then I have the prefix, the name, the index, and the suffix. I don't know if I want to have the naming getting out of this, but I understand that is also necessary. So first of all, I guess I need to test this and try to understand where we left here, because it will be necessary to use some sort of function to add the controls to create the controls. Import define the items, it's okay. Let's start to do then control skeleton. Add controls to skeleton. So again, I'm going to try this, and if it works, great. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. There will be no problem with adding the controls. I'm not 100% sure about some of the steps, but I guess we're just going to keep going. So with that in mind, then I have the root joint here of the skeleton. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get started, but maybe I should have the skeleton somewhere else. Let's see. So let's start by just saying who is the skeleton. So it's going to be rig. I believe this could be defined somewhere else as an attribute, so that it's sort of there is not like an information restricted to this particular section. But I'll get there. So it's going to be root joint, and then we're going to have, we should have a list. So I'm going to do rig or skeleton joints list, and that's going to be mc.list relatives all descendants, or then it's going to be like rig skeleton all descendants. Hope that's how it's typed. And then it's going to be type joint. I think that's it. So we have the list. So we're gonna run through this list then. So for joint in skeleton joint list, then we are going to be using the name of the joint for the control, probably yes. So we're going to define the name of the control. So joint control equals, or name equals joint dot replace, that's going to be joint with control. So now I need to then test this guy here, because if I need to check how are we going to be able to create these controls and further modify them. All right, so right now I have the control class here. I'm trying to remember, this is an old class that I have here to create the controls, and you can see that I have some classes like shape, match, position. So we can have the root or the pivot of the control, say here, and the control itself a little further away. So that's a way this script is going to allow us to do that. Also to list the shapes, constraint to target. Let's let's work with it. Let's begin trying to figure out what it does. I'm just gonna get like a as empty as possible. This was a test that I was doing, so it's useless. I'm just gonna call import. Uh, this is what state TP control as TPC, and then I'm going to do control equals to TPC dot. Let's import first. See if it, yeah, it was able to import. Great. So now we have the information here. It's not the control shape library. It is the actual control. So it's this guy here. And I don't remember what it was asking here. So it's the keywords. This is just name, apparently. Stuff.name, scale, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so initially that's all I want to test. The name is going to be, I don't know, so root control. And let's see what happens. Okay, so right away it broke. Thanks. Never easy, right? Never the easy one. Okay, so takes exactly one argument, two given. Which, what, how? So no arguments. Okay. Key error. It wants the name, so I guess it wants this to happen. So name equals root control. Boom, we got it. So it creates the little control there in the center. Now, can I do different shapes? Let me see. Transform, match position. And set shape type, set shapes list, constraint target, blah blah blah. Okay, so I am trying then to just figure out where have I stopped here, but I can see that it creates the control. Now let me see if it's parented. No, it's just like a one single curve in the center of the world there. Now I know that I have the ability to change everything using this function here. So let me just see what it's requesting here. I think this is going to end up being the actual control function. So prefix, name, index, suffix. But then how do I change? Oh, sorry, baby's passing by here, probably can hear. Change type. Okay, so how do I change the type though? No, this is not good. I think this is the way. It's set type cross, set type arrow, set type blah 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 blah. And we have a bunch of them, or we have like believe if not all of them. So we should be able then to just do what it's asking for and see what happens. So instead of doing the same thing that I did here, I'm just going to do that one. Root root control equals to tpc dot control library, and then we're going to do what it's asking for. So I believe it is suffix and oops, have I dragged anything by accident? No. So yeah, this will be definitely inside of a JSON in the future, or it could be done right away actually. But let's just figure out what we need here. So this is going to be prefix. I don't think we have any prefix here. So then the name. So name is going to be the root control. And I'm going to also delete that guy, otherwise it's going to conflict. And then we need the index. So this one doesn't have any index, and then we need the suffix, and the suffix is control. And that should set us a cube. Cool. So we have the cube, and now we have also the class or the object here. So the root control, we should be able to do set type arrow. I think that that was the way that I initially intended to be. Yeah, okay, it works, so that's good. So we have many other options there. It's set time crown, for example. Yeah. All right, so this is I think it's going to work, but I need to figure out a few things here. First of all, this thing with having nothing, it's just silly. And I don't know how am I doing with the naming here. I believe I should have like a naming convention here. Naming for item prefix and if item for if item, yeah, okay. So if the naming, if we're making a list out of the variables that we got, if there's something on them, then we're just putting them together and joining them. And then shape type cube, the basic shape type is cube. I don't know why I have added the cube as the base. And transform curve from data, build curve from data, and then I'm just calling the shape type and the name. So basically the whole function is like, at least the building of the function is on this guy here. So Sam Walton is participating here with us. How's it going, man? Thanks for dropping a comment. So Sam Walton is asking, if is it difficult to make a facial rig for film or games? I believe that's a question that uh, haven't yet been solved. To be honest, as the more you work with this kind of thing, you see that nobody has the perfect answer yet. They are getting closer to it, but it's so the question is it difficult to make a facial rig? It is obviously is a very complicated system to replicate. There are different ways of doing it, and many ways to make it look bad, right? So some companies have it figured out in terms of how to combine artist powerhouse or like artist power with system power and get a system that looks good. But you can see by the results, right? Like it's not figured out. If you look at the movies, you can point out one guy like Thanos, for example, or I don't know. Really, as time goes by, you start to look back and you start to see like, okay, this rig looked. You remember, oh, Thanos looked great, but I bet you in 5 years you're gonna look back on Thanos and say, could be better. Right now, I already see like Thanos, for example, he had no hair on his head. No, I don't even remember if he had an eyebrow or something like that. I think he had no eyebrow, no facial hair, or if he had facial hair, it was pretty small. So these are things that was probably most likely by design, right? So because it is just harder to make it look realistic inside, like in front of the screen. So there are new techniques coming along, but it's a work. It's basically a work in progress, right? Every time they're trying to push, someone else, some other studio comes up with a better solution. Then MetaHumans come into the game, and then you have MetaHumans is not perfect for everything. It's good for one thing, and then this other guy's gonna. So there are many different techniques. There's no consensus, and it's the best way you can, or the straightforward way you can do it right now is with the fax facial rigs. You can replicate most of the human poses with the fax, but also there's 4D capture right now that you can actually capture the whole movement of the face in real time. So that might be a little bit of the future. But resuming, it's always not easy. It's definitely something that you gotta. I've been trying to do something good, but for I don't know 4 years right now, and I'm still on my path to find a proper way to represent the face. And I think I still have a good way to go. If that answers the question for like 4 minutes speaking, so I hope that helps. All right, so this is the function that I have for the controls. I'm just trying to figure out how can I make this better or more streamlined. I could definitely take off this dictionary here from this function and bring and get it into a JSON file. What I have right here is pretty simple. Like it's I mean, I understand what I did here. This is a old method or a old class that was attempting to make one single control be an object. So this way we can change for different types of curve here. That shape translation, sap shape. Yeah, it's interesting, but I mean, it's shape match position, get shape list, get transform object, add offset group. Yeah, so Sam Walton saying here, thanks for the answer. Yeah, man, we are we're here to talk. Feel free to send messages. I'll be open for giving information here. That's the way. I wish I had someone to give me some answers at the time I was starting. So Sam is saying it's getting back with an answer. How many different bones do you typically have in your rigs? Uh, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're, it depends. If you're talking about a facial rig, I'm constantly like I have used different techniques in the past. If you relying more on facial blend shapes, or if it's mostly a blend shape rig, you're gonna use less joints. If you're relying more on joints, you can see, for example, on the metahumans, I didn't dig deeply inside of it yet, but from what I can see, it has a bunch of joints, and what I assume is it is using the joints to give the basic movement, and then using maps, relying more on maps to get wrinkles and all this kind of stuff. So Sam Walton here is saying, how I mean, how many do you have in your facial rigs? So my facial rigs are currently under development projects, and I have. This is the first time I'm gonna have after I'm done with this. It's the first time I'm gonna have a full rebuildable rig. So far, I've been doing it manually, so it's hard to say how many. I mean, probably a few dozens of joints. Depends. If I have a system like I had before, where you're relying more on joints, for example, and I have this surface underneath this surface here. So this idea here would have one joint for each one of this vertex here. That would mean like hundreds of joints, and that would then drive the skin, and we would be able to use mostly joint system to drive this rig. I may implement this on this one, likely will. So we're gonna see, but it depends. But it can go from a couple of I mean 10, 20 to hundreds. It depends on the technique. It's a very broad topic, man. I'm sorry if I'm being too broad. There's many different techniques. If you search online, you're gonna see people doing it in many different ways. It's very personal almost. But usually the mouth is the one consuming the most amount of the joints. So let me just get this thing straight here. So what I want, let me check what I want here. I'm kind of getting lost here on the amount of stuff that I want to be done. So what I want is to then create the control. Of course, I want to have also the get the joint position, get joint orientation, then and create the control, uh, add add offset group to control, and then I'm going. Hey Sean, I hope that that was useful, man. I know it was kind of sparse information there, but if you like it because of the. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to figure out the light here. So yeah, if you like rigging, it's going to be for the problem solving and the aesthetics. I might get into some facial blend shape sculpting on this tutorial or like on this development. And I'm not honestly, I'm not seeing a different way of doing it. At the end of the day, the better the blend shapes you have, the best the rig overall is going to look. So we're gonna add the group, and then we're going to oh, we gotta also store the. So Sam is saying that yes, that's fine. I'm just interested in the processor. I'm just trying to pick up what I can watching and listening to you. Thanks. Oh, of course, man. Yeah, I know how it feels, man. In the beginning was just there. So if you want a clear path to begin with, I would go for really the most straightforward way you can get started is checking out the facts technique. So fax shapes, you can Google just on the Wikipedia. You're gonna get all of the fax shapes. Melinda also has a lot of information, like a website. Search for Melinda Ozo, I think. Just Melinda Ozo facts, and you can get a lot of information about how the muscles work and how they're behaving. Also, a book by Odis Zerem, which is the one like anatomy for sculptors or for artists or something like that, and with all the the muscles in the face. And the best way to do it is just by like sculpting the face, just sculpt the base shape, the neutral shape, and then start to sculpt like the different other shapes, and you'll be able to then also, of course, in the normal workshop by Derek that is about sculpting this kind of shapes. Pretty good, great. Here's a guy that works with me at DD. Great content and also affordable price at $50 or something, and that's it. So add offset group to control, that's good. And then what we're going to do is also I need to query. So if I start by the root joint, it's fine because then I can just be parenting back. So that should be good enough. But I do need always to have the previous joint. How am I going to get the previous joint? Okay. Let me think. How am I going to store the previous joint? Uh, 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 um, Previous joint control. So basically, let's say this is the first. I'm thinking here, how am I going to store the name of the previous joint that was created and the control that was created? So basically, at the end of this guy, I'm just going to have a variable here, like saying previous control. Not great, but uh, at the end, then I'm just going to say like previous control equals to joint control name, because then I'm going to then be able to do something like parent. Oh, it's just silly. No, that's not gonna work the way I want it to be. But let's just do root control. I don't like this, but anyways, let's keep going. So parent, because I'm hard coding it over there, and that's not gonna be good. But it's the initial one. There might be a better way to do it. So I'm just going to do mc.parent, and then it's going to be parent. I'm just going to do joint control name, but actually I need the group. So add offset group to control. Let's just call this control uh, control group equals to mc dot group, and that's going to be called something, and it's going to group something. So for now it's fine. I don't need that. I just need to. Okay, so we have the control. So the control group needs to be parent then to. So the control group must then be parented to the previous control. Boom. So what's going to happen then is initially, at least I don't like this way of hard coding it, but it's going to be that for now. So the first in the first loop, it's going to create everything, and it's going to have the root control here. Skeleton joint list relatives. Okay, hold on. It's okay. So what we're gonna do then is like at the end. So we're going to create anyways, and then at the end here, if how can I check this information? If no, man, I don't want to. If joint equal man. Mm-mm. Yeah, I would rather like how can I check here? Let me see. Uh, list check uh, list get index. I think it's dot index, right? Animals index. Okay, so I can do this. I can do like joint, or I can do like skeleton joint list dot index joint equal 0. I'm more comfortable with this. I just want to make it variable. I don't want to have to hard code like saying to make it check if it's if the first item is the root control, because that if I decide to change the name later on, I'll have to go back and just check if whatever. So if let's just say it got to be different. So different than 0, then we're going to parent the control to the previous control, which I also have to figure it out. Yeah, it's going to be fine. And then at the end, we define the previous control as so after you execute the function of parenting it to the previous control, and then we modify the previous control to being the current one, so that the next time it runs through the loop, it's going to parent to the previous one, and we're going to get this. So as we create the controls, it's going to parent to the previous one, and then we're going to create this hierarchy. that may or may not be correct because not always is going to be parented to the previous control. How can I check the parent though? I gotta check it on the. Okay, okay. Let's keep thinking. So instead of using the previous, I guess I'm best. I'm better off just checking out who's the parent. I guess I'm more under control if I can check who's the parent. So I would say that the parent then is control parent is equal to mc dot list relatives from the. Yeah, but the problem persists. How do I find the previous joint? No, I can check out who is the parent of the current joint, so that would work as well. So let's relatives joint, and I will then parent. Who is the parent? So parent. Let me just check how is it done. So it's like Maya Python list relatives, and then I'm going to check here. Yeah, I know that it returns the parent of this DAG node. That's fine. That's what we want. And I'm just gonna put like type type joint as well because I'm not 100% sure what's gonna come. I just want to be 100% sure. So we got then the control parent, and I also want to. This is going to return a list, I believe. So this is I just want the first item of the list because it's just one parent, and I want also to replace. It's going to be a string, right? So I want to replace the let's say, you know what, let's do it in a different place because it's going to be too much of a mess there, too many. So this is going to be joint parent, and then I'm going to do control parent, and then it's going to be joint parent dot replace. Then it's going to be joint. It's going to be replaced by control. All right. So that then would give us the control parent, and then we can just do like control parent. So the control group is going to be parent to the control parent, and I guess that will be it. So we are then getting back into that same thing where I need to figure out this guy here. So I need to find a way to use this in a consistent manner. I think the ideal class would be. Oi, bebê, tudo bem? Quer aparecer? Quer dar oi aqui? Vem. Muito bem. Dá oi ali, ó. Lembra você ali, ó? Hello, everyone! Fala assim, ó. Oiê! Vai dar oi. Vai dar oizinho. Right. So let's get back to work. Tá bom, até já. All right. I mean, soon gotta head back to baby. So... Oi, amor. E aí? É, eu tô só terminando aqui. Deixa eu terminar, já vou. All right. So we have this guy. We can use this guy for now. The... É, bebê. All right. So yeah, this is the kind of thing I have to handle. There's no other way. And So the naming, it's too simple here. We have this gigantic list here, which really bothers me if I want to. I'm starting to feel like this might be a time to move from this particular structure. I didn't want to invest. Oh, cancel. Didn't want to invest much more time into this class particularly, but I think I can keep this one and just restart one here on the project folder because I think that I need to separate this information. I don't like this dictionary here being inside of the class. It's good for watching it and for like knowing what's going on, but it's also terrible to go through the function and not be able to understand a single flying thing. So what I'm going to do is just create a new Python package here, and we're going to call this TP control. Is TP control? I don't know. Oi, amor. Eu já tô terminando já. Oh, sorry guys, I'm here with the comments open. Sorry about that once again. Okay, so I'm just creating a new package here with the TP control, and I'm going to drop this TP control here into that one so that we can start moving some stuff around. And I would like to then have like a file here, like a directory saying data. And we can probably then. Oi, bebê, eu já vou já, amor. É, já vou já. Oi. Ó, seu suco. Tá bom. Tá. Papai já vai. All right, so I will first dump all this data here into a dictionary. And the way to do that is I'm going to create a function. So curve dict. I'm just going to do it in a way that I won't need to just drag this and drop into a JSON file because I am not sure how the format's going to be if I do that. So I'm just going to create a function to do that. So let me see if I don't have anything like that. Yeah, export curve dictionary to JSON. Fine. So it's pretty simple to export JSON files, and we just double check how to do it. Do I have an import here already? I have the JSON import here. Let me see if I have an export JSON here. I don't remember. Oh, I think I have an example here on my skin weights, TP skin weights, and that's on the other side here. So why is that just like this? CMDS, why? This code is unreachable. Fine. I don't think that's the one. It's absolutely not the one. Skin weights is not the one, then no. Notes, rig. Is it on the utilities though? Okay, so I'm just searching for my utilities here to check if the export read JSON file, skin percentage from data, yes. Export dictionary as JSON. This is what we need. Data file name, directory path. So as a matter of fact, I can just use that. I don't even need to go as far as importing this thing back in. I'm gonna close this for now. I don't need to damage that other file. Export this to JSON, and I can. Oh, I need to also import my utilities here. So I'm just going to do import. Tipping and convention is there, so it's TP rig utils prig dot TP rig utils as TPU. So this is just a provisory function, anyways. So first of all, I'm just gonna export dict as JSON. So I'm just going to do that. So it's going to be tpu dot export dictionary as JSON. And the file that we need is this file here. So I'm just going to copy path, absolute path. So I need to know what was it here. So self, I think it was like curve dict or yeah, curve dict, and then I'm just going to dump that into, so you just see the file name. So the file name in this case is going to be uh, curve data, curve data.json, you know, and then the directory path is going to be the one that we just copied. And I also need to invert this things here. There must be a better way of doing this. This is the silliest thing ever. And we should be able to then export this dictionary. So let's try that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to import again. So import TP rig, TP control again, as TP. I'm gonna have to do the different naming. Let me see if it gets it. Guess we got it. And then it's gonna be like control or whatever, new control equals TP control dot shapes library, and then we're gonna call it some sort of name here. It's going to be control 01. And then this is not relevant because I think it created the control, which is good. It's there at the end. Yeah, it is there. Good. So what I need now is actually to do like new control dot export curve to dictionary JSON. So now I'm just going to run this, and we should, yeah, it exported the data, curve data. That's not what I need actually, but it's fine as long as it's there. Yeah, but it didn't add it to the correct place though. But anyways, as long as everything is here, and it seems like it is, it should be good. Oi, bebê, tudo bem? Cadê a mamãe? Cadê? É, não sei. Okay, so here we go. Oh, sorry, man. Oh my God, Sam was just said something here. I'm curious. He's saying, I think he was just thanking for something before. So I'm curious. Do studios allow you to work on hardware you're comfortable with, like Mac or PC? I used Mac Pros in college and I love it. No, actually studios just block everything they possibly can so that you actually use things from the studio, and you cannot, you know, use your own things. So it's, they try to make it as hard as possible for you to download data, for example, or to, you know, save data or something like that. uh Save with user search constant string. Sorry, I'm just deleting a file here, double checking that I'm deleting the right thing. Okay, and that's done. So I forgot to add the last forward slash there, so that's why it's saved on the wrong place. And now if I do reload this, and then create the, I just change the name this, and then I export the JSON file. Now we still have the wrong thing. Why? Did it even load it again though? Oh yeah, that's why I haven't like done the load. TPCTRL. Yeah, so I guess that answers the question, Sean. It's just like no, a big no, no. Studios don't allow you to use your. Well, I am using my own computer on to work, to be honest, but I am using it with a PCOIP software, so I cannot access. It opens a window that I cannot access anything that is inside. I cannot copy, I cannot paste. So okay, so I guess that did the job this time. Yeah, that did it this time. We got the right thing. Just gonna delete this again, and we have the data here. So it should be easy for us to access that. And then I gotta be able to import the dictionary as well. So ideally, then what would happen, and it's probably going to be the case, is that we're going to then be able to just remove this data from this function here. So the curve dict, I can just fully remove this. And I'm going to import this guy using, let's see if I have something here. I probably do. So it's going to be, where is the read JSON file? So file path, and it's going to return us the file that we need to read. So it's going to be then tpu dot in or read JSON file, and then the file must be the same that we used down here. Okay, so let me just add this. So it's curve data.json, and we should be able to use do the exact same thing that we were doing before with that gigantic dictionary. It's going to be exactly the same, except it is all on a JSON file, and it's inside of its proper place here. So this is the beginning of this function. We still have so much to go here on this control function. But if we reload, let's try that again then. I will just remove all the controls here on the floor, and I'm going to recreate this control. Let's see if it's going to be able to read from the, yeah, so I already know that it did, because it has created this cube control here. And then what I'm going to do is just test that functions of like new control or new control dot set type to crown. So if that's that, yeah, cool. So it works perfectly. We know because it is on the crown shape and it's coming from the file. So that's it. I think we have done. So Sam Walton here is asking us, just asking it because it's hard to get software for beginners without everything going the way of subscriptions. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. It can be a heavy load and it's hard to get started with such demanding prices for any software. So I totally understand you. You gotta use what you have in hands at the time. So if you're getting started, you know, you gotta learn. You gotta learn. Okay, so now we have the control in place, and we know that it works. So I know that I have another function here. Let me see. I believe it was like adding a top group, and that's what I would need next. Oh, not on this one though. So I would need. So we have. So Umesh is in the house now. How's it going, Amish? Thanks for joining the comments. Welcome back. We're kind of at the end this time, so it's almost 1 hour and 40 minutes already. I just want to know. I'm getting familiar. I'm familiarizing back with this function that I've written before, and I am trying to see how are we going to use such a thing to be able to control our rig in a proper a very basic easy fashion. So we have the name, we have set type arrows, a bunch of set types. Yeah, what I could have had is instead of having this is a function that I've written back in like I don't know almost 5 months ago. I don't have history here to know, but I was separating both of these classes. I don't know why. Like one of them just had the. Yeah, I'm going good, Umesh. Thanks for asking, man. Pretty good. A little bit rested, better rested today. Not 100% rested, but better rested. I gotta go soon to help the family and get back into resting. Okay, so we have most of the functions outside. We have a lot of stuff here. Replace shapes. This is all working, and we know it is because we just tested it. But I want something like the add top group. So let me just see what I have written here for the control. Just control constraint target, fine. Shape list, fine. Shape match position, okay. But how was I importing this? Yeah, okay. So I think that this class could be inheriting, but I just don't know why would I not create all of the same things inside of a single class. Like what these ones are responsible for changing shapes and uh, so what I'm thinking is now I have the control and we have a class that is able to change the shape of the control, change the colors and everything related to the actual shape. And then we could have a function that would be more of a transform relation function where we would be able to actually parent and create groups on top. That might be the case. You know what I'm feeling? I'm feeling like this could be a path. I'm not 100% sure, but so this function here, we're not going to be needing it, but I'll keep it for now. But anyways, I will. What I'm feeling is that this function here, the control library, needs to be one before the control shape library. It's going to be before this guy here. what does it mean is that it's going to be importing everything, and then this guy here. So this one's going to be like obj here. Maybe I can maybe I will need to use the shapes for something else with that is not a control, and the control would be more control related. I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but let's just go with it right now. If I can inherit that, I can then, yeah. If I would like to have just the control class, I will just merge them, and it's not going to change anything. Come on. All right. So I'm just going to do the supper here. Dot init, and this is going to be control self, right? No, 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 no. Almost there. All right, so we are inheriting that control shapes, which is good because I can, yeah, I guess I can focus on. So this is mostly related to set types, like even the get name is silly. I don't know if I need the name to be set on this stage. And this guy here then can just, yeah, so let's put it like this. This is the end for today. I need to figure a lot of stuff out here. Thanks for participating today. Thanks, Amash. Thank Sam for popping by. And what we have here going on right now is we need to add the controls to this rig here. We need to add a shape, for example, for this guy here, and then be able to parent both of them. And also this guy here needs to be inside of its own group. So basically have something like this. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you're not seeing, sorry, also you're not seeing what's going on in the scene, but we need to have the control, and then we need to be able to have it parent or inside of a group, so that the we can move the group without messing the coordinates on the shape. That's just basically basic rig stuff. And I'm just searching for a way to be able to change this control shape. So for example, if we have a shape on the head here and I want it to be a sort of an arrow or something, I will need to be able to export which shape it is, where is the position, and all the information about this particular shape, so that we can import it back again on the process after we export everything. So say we export this information, and then we're going to rebuild, and everything needs to be on its own place, on the proper place after it's done. So yeah, this is another stage, but that's this one's definitely going to get us closer to a rig after it's done. After this stage is done, we're going to have a bunch of joints that are controlled, and we already have also a import skin cluster function that is already that I have already tested. So after that, we will be able to then apply, so start a basic skinning on this mesh and see how it behaves, and export the skinning and be able to import it back. So then we're going to finally have something that looks like an actual rig builder that's going to be imported as something actually rigged. So it's a basic skeleton with controls and a head with a skin cluster, and that's going to be rebuilt automatically. So this it's is the very basic start. Like once we have this, we have the baseline, and then we can start adding the more complex systems. And then we're going to, at the end, or at the middle, let's say, start working with the blend shapes, and that's where a lot of the work's going to be happening as well. But as long as we have a rebuildable rig, we're going to be able to save a lot of time in any other rig that comes along. If anybody ever comes and say, look, I need a rig for face, I have the base right away. I have like the neck working, the clavicle, everything working. So it's a good starting point. and we figure out even if we need to work with blend shapes as the facial rig, or if we need to use different methods, we're going to be able to do that. So Phoenix Studios, thanks for joining in. Hey man, how's it going on? I'm late. Sorry for yeah, it's all good, man. Sometimes I'm not doing it on a fixed hour as well. As you know, family's always around and baby's always around, trying to get some attention. So I am usually just working at the time I have, doing like 1 hour, an hour and a half, and I'm out. And that's what's going to actually happen right now. I'm about to go. Einar is coming along. Hello, man. Thanks for joining in at the at the goodbyes. That's a good period where I can say, "Hey, man, how's it going?" We need to. I need to contact you and you know exchange some ideas. Einar. So this is a friend that worked with me briefly on Bardell. Awesome guy. With my lead, Aaron Robinson. Miss him as well. Now in coalition. So yeah. So it's a bunch of there's a lot going on in Vancouver. Yeah, Einar is saying anytime. Cool, man. So I'm done for today. Baby needs attention. My wife needs some attention as well, and I gotta get out. So tomorrow or the next day would be back on this to get this control shapes in place and running. All right.